What's going on, people? Episode 2000, right back at you with another video. Let me start off by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. Just recently, I just surpassed 100 subscribers. I believe I'm at about 104, 105. And I want to say thank you very much to each every one of you that have subscribed to my channel. I know a lot of people out there, or some people out there may take that as like, oh, 100 subscribers, nothing really to be getting excited about or whatever, or find that to be minuscule. But I'll tell you what, that is really important to me, and I thank you very much for subscribing to my channel and supporting me and giving me your encouraging and kind words. I really do appreciate that. And I'll get more content out there as soon as possible for you. Figure reviews, movie reviews, and just everything that I've been doing. But thank you very much for subscribing to my channel and being a part of this and giving the motivation to do what I do. With that being said, at the request of subscriber Mecca Manila 99, he wanted me to do my top 10 favorite Godzilla films, and which I thought would be a cool task. It was a cool task, but I thought it would be an easy one. Come to find out, it really wasn't, because I watch Godzilla films sporadically. Well, I take that back. I watch them on a regular basis, but I used to watch them from start to finish, from the originals to Final Wars. But nowadays, I just watch them at random. Just whatever the mood hits me, whatever I decide I want to watch, I'll pop it in. And when I was compiling this list, I was thinking about, okay, do I do it by the best story, the best fight scenes, the best special effects, the best music or soundtrack or whatever? And it's just too many great things with these Godzilla movies that I had a hard time really picking out 10. Because I don't, there are some Godzilla films that I really love, and there's some that I like. I make no bones about it in the past that Godzilla Final Wars and Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, for example, are not necessarily my favorites. But at the same time, I do really like the film. I do find them entertaining, despite I feel like that those films need some improvement. But with that being said, I just really sat down and thought about it. The most fun films that I have fun watching, that I enjoy so much, that I could watch these over and over again. If these films were the only thing left on the planet, I could watch these over and over again. So this is why I compiled these top 10 Godzilla films. My favorite top 10 Godzilla films. Number 10, Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Oh my God, such a powerful, such an awesome film. A great way to end the series. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the film, but let me just say this. During the course of this video, I will be talking about spoilers of the film. So if you haven't seen any of these films that I'm about to talk about, you might want to skip the video, go watch, and then come back. But for those who have seen them, you already know what I'm talking about. But other than that, here's your spoiler alert warning. But Godzilla vs. Destroyer, 1995, such an awesome film. And I like the fact how it dates back to the original 1954. It has such a direct tie to that movie. Also, the Godzilla 1984 does, but I feel this film has more ties to that, to the 54 film than the 84 film. There's so many awesome things about this film. The fact that they even say on the cover of the poster that Godzilla dies, and which is a powerful and almost heart-wrenching scene to watch at the end. But I don't know if anybody else does it out there, but when I watch this film, because it's theorized in the film that Godzilla will not only explode, but he will have a meltdown because of the orange patches that he got on his body, and the fact that his heart was deteriorating, which was causing that to happen in the first place. But in the film, he encounters the Super X3 in the military, and they find a way to subdue the explosion that he would supposedly undergo. And at that moment, I started to feel like maybe they can save him. Maybe they can stop Godzilla from dying. But then later on, they find out that it was just a temporary measure, and instead Godzilla would actually go through a meltdown, which is more worse than the explosion theory that they thought that he would do. But in between those two moments, I really thought that they could save him. Each time I watch this, I don't know why, but each time I watch this, I'm hoping that he doesn't die. But he does, and like I said, it's just a heart-wrenching and probably one of the most powerful scenes ever in the Godzilla film. To see him die and have the Akira Ifukube majestic music in the background, it's just an awesome scene. And then at the tail end, to see Godzilla Jr. revived as the new Godzilla and have it in there where you can basically determine on your own what's going to happen at that point. It's such an awesome film. But one key thing I like to say about the film, after I did some research on it, they actually did an alternate ending to where in the original, in the film at the end, Destroyer fights Godzilla, where Godzilla deals a whole bunch of damage to Destroyer. He flies up, and then the military shoot him down with their cold weapons, and he falls to the ground, evaporates. Then Godzilla goes through his meltdown. There was an alternate ending film where the same thing happens, but instead, Destroyer falls to the ground, but yet he survives the fall. At the same time, Godzilla starts to go through his meltdown, but yet he still continues to fight Destroyer despite the fact he was melting away. So between Godzilla melting away and then the military start firing more of their freezer weapons on him, between the intense coldness of the military's weapons as well as the intense heat of Godzilla weapons, Destroyer basically dies at the same time that Godzilla does. But they decided to just have it done the original way. That way, Destroyer dies, and then Godzilla's death can have center stage, which was basically the climax of the movie, and basically it was the point of the movie that they were going to kill Godzilla. But like I said, at the end, and then when he dies, and then Godzilla Jr. becomes a new Godzilla, where you can determine what happens at that point. It's really awesome way to end a Godzilla film. Probably the most epic way to end a Godzilla film. If they were not going to produce any more Godzilla films ever, then this would be the great way for him to go out. And in some ways, I kind of view this as really the final Godzilla film. I know Godzilla Final Wars is before the new one comes out in a couple of years, but in a way, I kind of view this one as the final one, as the best way to send out Godzilla. And it's an awesome film, which is why it's number 10. Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Number 9. I know my wife's gonna look at me sideways for this one, but GMK is number 9.
Boo.
Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Attack, and I love this film. I really do. Except that I've gone on record by saying that I don't like how they downgraded King Ghidorah's and Mothra's characters, more so King Ghidorah, because I'm a huge King Ghidorah fan, to deal with Godzilla. Because they try to, they don't try, they do position Godzilla as the most evil, most powerful, most intimidating, most brutal Godzilla ever in the franchise. But yet they made King Ghidorah and Mothra kind of smaller just to play up that theory. And that's one of the gripes I have with it. I feel like, if Godzilla faced their original Showa or Heisei more powerful counterparts and still go through with them with ease as he did with these versions, that Godzilla would have been more powerful, more intimidating than he ever could be. But that's my only gripe with the film. I don't like how they downgraded King Ghidorah's and Mothra's characters. But other than that, I love the film. I love how evil and dark and almost supernatural Godzilla is in this film. It's a new direction with the character. They didn't just throw Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah and did the same thing they've been doing for the past 30 or 40 years, where Godzilla and Mothra would team up against King Ghidorah. The only time ever where you would see King Ghidorah and Mothra to fight Godzilla, and where Godzilla's the ultimate bad guy. It's a really new and cool concept that I like about GMK. And that's why I love this film so much. Like I said, it's not up there like in number 2, number 3 on the list because the character or downgrade character development of King Ghidorah and Mothra. But still, it's one of my favorite films nonetheless. So number 9, GMK. Now, number 8. Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. So many different titles with this film. That title, Monster Zero, Invasion of the Astro Monster, Kaiju Daisenso, or Great Monster War, I believe. Just so many different titles, but still, I love the American title, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. I love this film, but to me, this film is kind of like Chinese food. You know how we eat Chinese food, It makes you hungry for more. That's what. That's why I feel about when I watch this movie. Like they everything is perfect with this movie, with the sci-fi elements of the aliens coming in, blending with the monster action. I really do like that, but I wish we could have gotten more monster action. Nonetheless, the monster action is really, really superb and really, really awesome. I love how the planet, the aliens have, their designations of the monsters, where King Ghidorah is Monster Zero, Godzilla is Monster 01, Rodan is Monster 02. I really do like that. Like I said, I wish they would incorporate more monster footage. There's two scenes in the movie where I feel like there was opportunity to do that, but they didn't do it. In one scene, the head of the astronaut program, that the old scientists, when the aliens come to Earth and they proclaim their plans to take over the world, he mentions to one of the astronauts that King Ghidorah is in the United States. So that could have been an opportunity to show King Ghidorah destroying an American city or whatever, just to incorporate more monster footage. And early on, when the aliens first come to Earth under the false pretense that they were there to help, and they just wanted just to retrieve Godzilla and Rodan to go back to their world to fight King Ghidorah, they said the reason why they came unannounced was to prevent destruction that probably could be caused by Godzilla and Rodan. And maybe they could have incorporated some footage of that, of Godzilla and Rodan destroying Japan, destroying the Earth. Then the aliens come in to capture them, to stop their rampage, to basically give more credit to the story that they're here to help, and they're here to take away Godzilla and Rodan, just to play up their story before it's finally revealed that they're there to destroy the world. That I really wish they could have incorporated more monster footage, but even still, the monster action is great. And of course, they used the storyline a couple more times in the Showa films, and other films, where the aliens come in and use monsters to take over the world. But I believe that this film did it the absolute best. And every film that used that storyline owes the debt of gratitude to this film because of it. And that's why it's on my top 10 list. So basically, number 8, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. Number 7, Godzilla vs. Biollante. One of my favorite films of the Heisei period. And I said in my S Plus Biollante review that I view this film more as a continuation or a sequel of sorts of Godzilla of 1984. Because Godzilla vs. Biollante, or at least the physical confrontation between two monsters, are not what make this film, or do not make up the brunt of this film. To me, this film is more about how, after the events of Godzilla 1984, Godzilla comes back, and how they're going to deal with him this time. And basically how they deal with him on a biological level, by injecting him with the anti-nuclear energy bacteria, hoping to destroy him from the inside out. And then you throw in his fights for the military, Super X 3, as well as Biollante. Such an awesome, superb film. I really do enjoy it. It's just puzzling to me why it didn't do well at the box office, at the Japanese box office. But I still do love the film. It's an awesome, wonderful film. Godzilla, one of the very few films where Godzilla is absolutely awesome and unstoppable. And I like the creation of Biollante, such a unique kaiju Godzilla face. So many wonderful things about this film. The introduction of Mika Sagusa, which will carry on to the rest of the Heisei films. Such an awesome and pivotal film in the Heisei period. And that's why I love it so much. So number 7, Godzilla vs. Biollante. Number 6. Let's go to the year 1966 with Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Such an awesome, awesome film also. Originally it was conceived for King Kong, and it's not a part of misconceptions because they chose Godzilla at the last minute to take King Kong's place and make more money. That's not true. Basically, the people that owned the rights to King Kong character and had a King Kong cartoon at the time came to Toho, wanted to make a movie. They didn't like the negotiations fell through, and they pulled the King Kong character at the last minute. So they put Godzilla in there to make the best out of a bad situation, and it turned out really, really well, at least in my opinion, because it's like very, 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 very fun film, and it showed that Godzilla, since it's on an island location, island setting, that Godzilla didn't necessarily need to be in a metropolitan or city area for it to be an entertaining Godzilla movie. He does not have to be destroying cities and killing people and destroying humanity to be an entertaining Godzilla film. Him fighting a giant lobster, even though Ebra is not really a credible opponent as compared to King Ghidorah and Rodan and Mothra, but him fighting Ebra and then his encounter with Mothra at the end and him getting away from the island before it destroys, all these great things just make a wonderful and fun Godzilla movie. Which is why it's number 6, Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Number 5, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974. Oh my god, insane with special effects. I love the special effects. I love the story. I love how this is my favorite version of Mechagodzilla. Excuse me. Out of all the incarnations of that awesome machine, this is my favorite, and it's my favorite movie of Mechagodzilla. And it's just an awesome film to have him disguises as Godzilla, and he goes on a rampage through Japan, and people think it is Godzilla. Then he come across Anguirus and basically maims him, which brings forth the original Godzilla, and then fighting at the oil refinery, and then the machine shows its true evil self. And then at the end, with the introduction of King Caesar and the three-way confrontation between King Caesar, Godzilla, and Mechagodzilla, just an awesome film. And even the soundtrack is even awesome. The jazzy, up-tempo, booming soundtrack, not necessarily you would think would be a Godzilla film soundtrack, but it is. All these wonderful things just make up a really awesome Godzilla film. One of the best of the 70s, and it's why it's one of my favorites also. So Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla in 1974, number 5. Number 4, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Like I said, I'm a huge King Ghidorah fan. This is by far my favorite film of King Ghidorah, of the evil three-headed space dragon. It's just an awesome film, and I love the human character story along with it. Of course, with these Godzilla films, you know, sometimes we want to skip through the human parts to get to the monster parts, but there are a few of these films where the human story is really, really good, and it's not making you count in time to when a monster will appear. It has a really, really cool story with the princess going through it, and who at least escapes an assassination attempt. Then she pops up in Japan and warns the people of all these disasters coming and these monsters coming, and then all these random things basically happen as she talks about them. Rodan shows up, then out of nowhere Godzilla shows up, then King Ghidorah shows up, and the fact that Mothra comes and has to be the middleman between Godzilla and Rodan to convince them to fight King Ghidorah is awesome. Of course, this is a turning point where they shift Godzilla from villain to hero, or at least from villain to anti-hero. So it works here. And like I said, I really do like this film because of the random things that happen with all these monsters coming together under random circumstances, but yet they come together to defeat King Ghidorah at the end. Like I said, it's such an awesome, powerful movie. Really, really good, and I really do love it. So yeah, number 4, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Number 3, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, 1991. By far my favorite film of the Heisei period. If you can get past the convoluted story of the time travel aspect of the movie, I think you'll be fine. But even with that involved in the movie, the fact that this is the first time where you will see Godzilla and King Ghidorah fight one-on-one. They don't have any other monsters aiding either one of them. It's just basically mano a mano. Who is the best monster? And it features my favorite incarnation of the Heisei, Godzilla, the 1991. Such a powerful and awesome representation of Godzilla. And with that being said, with Godzilla and King Ghidorah, as well as Mecha King Ghidorah at the end, fighting each other one-on-one for the first time, I do like the fact that basically they flesh out the backstory of Godzilla in this film. Because in the original 54 film, he kind of just came out of nowhere. You didn't really know where Godzilla came from. They theorized where he came from, but you didn't really know. In this one, it shows where he came from, where he was a peaceful dinosaur that got hit with radiation, which made him big and powerful and all that. And I like the fact that basically, in the movie, King Ghidorah shows up and starts ravaging Japan. And so they turn to Godzilla to take out King Ghidorah, which he does. Upon doing so, then Godzilla starts ravaging Japan, then they have to rely on King Ghidorah to take care of Godzilla. So basically the roles were reversed. When in the beginning, King Ghidorah's the problem and Godzilla's solution. Then after that's done, Godzilla's the problem. Then King Ghidorah or Mecha King Ghidorah's solution. So for that, I love this film so much. And like I said, seeing these two, my favorite kaiju's together for the first time fighting each other one-on-one, it's just an awesome treat to behold. Which is why it's number 3. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah in 1991. Number 2, Godzilla vs. Gigan. And I know a lot of people are out there be like, you know, because there's a lot of things about this film that some fans don't like the overuse of stock footage, Godzilla and Gear's talking, you know, whatever. But you know what? All that still makes up a great Godzilla film, in my opinion. And with the introduction of Gigan, a cool kaiju in itself, teaming up with King Ghidorah to face Godzilla and Anguirus, just the monster fights alone is just awesome. And the fact that, you know, like I said, stock footage aside, you gotta realize they didn't have a whole bunch of money to make the 70s films. So they had to rely on older footage to tell the story. And it works well here. And the fact they had the use of stock music library of Akira Ifukube's greatest hits from epic Godzilla movies like Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah the three-headed monster, Destroy All Monsters, King Kong Escapes, Frankenstein Conquers the World, and each piece of music suits the scene that it's put in. That's why I love this film so much. You know, it may take a while to get going sometimes, but it's still a fun, entertaining movie. Godzilla and Anguirus are really presented as the major underdogs, but they persevere and they turn back the tide and they send Gigan and King Ghidorah back into space. One of the most entertaining monster fights ever, really, between the 4 monsters. But that's why it's number 2, Godzilla vs. Gigan. And if y'all know me, you already know what's number 1. You already know what's number 1. Mothra versus Godzilla. To me, the perfect Godzilla film. I made a review for this when I first started doing YouTube videos, so I'm going to summarize this. To me, this is just a perfect Godzilla film. And you know, there's no such thing as a perfect film in general, because every film is flawed to a certain extent. But for this film, I have no problems with this film. Godzilla, his design, his evil design, it's just awesome. The fact that, in a way, this Godzilla is more reminiscent from the Godzilla of 1954. With this being the 4th film, between that, the 54th film and this film, you had Godzilla Rise Again and King Kong vs. Godzilla. And in those films, he wasn't really presented as the dark, serious, unstoppable force as he was in the original one. In Mothra vs. Godzilla, he's basically the exact same way. He wasn't vibrant, he wasn't animated, he wasn't jumping around. He was slow, methodical, unstoppable, killing everything in his path. And I really do like that. I really like the fact that Mothra, her character in this film, even though she was dying, she still chose to fight Godzilla to try to save her offspring. And that's something that you really have to admire. The fact that she knew that she was going to lose, but yet she fought him anyway. The fact that the military concocts some really great plans to deal with Godzilla. You know, most in these films, the military, I wouldn't say they are seen as incompetent, but they come up with plans that don't really work. But at least in this film, at least they act like that they really care if they defeat Godzilla or not. Between that, the monster fights, the score, probably the best score Akira Ifukube has ever done. Just the score alone make this film perfect. And I like how Godzilla is introduced into the story, because he basically just pops up out of nowhere. In the early films, Godzilla is basically, or presence of him is basically shown from the get-go. But in this film, like I said, he just pops up out of nowhere. You didn't know how Godzilla was going to be introduced to the story, but when he does show up, it's just non-stop action from there. And one of the very few movies for Godzilla is like just everything that they throw at him, from Mothra, from the plans that the military concocts with the metal nets that draw lightning, the tanks, the bombs, the missiles, everything they try to throw at him doesn't really work. Of course, he gets defeated at the end, where it still doesn't matter, because Godzilla has rampaged its way all through Japan, and Mothra, or at least the baby at the end, don't necessarily stop him. they just subdued him. I mean, it's not like, you know, he looked strong in defeat is what I'm trying to say. It wasn't like Godzilla got his butt kicked. It wasn't like that Godzilla took his tail between his legs and ran. He looked really strong in defeat. So that's why this is my favorite movie of all time. To me, it's the perfect Godzilla film. I highly recommend you see this film. Anybody who's coming into the genre, see this film. You really would do yourself a favor seeing this film. Of course, see the original first so you can get an idea of the character, but make sure you see this film. And that is my #1 Godzilla film. So that's basically it for all my top 10 Godzilla films. Like I said, I can pop any one of these films in and be thoroughly entertained. Of course, everybody's going to have different top 10 lists, which is why I hope, and if y'all watching, my fellow YouTubers out there, Brutezilla, Godzilla Fan Freaks, Tokyo Toy Fiend, Samson West, Richard Iso, maybe y'all can do a video and tell us, or at least tell us what's your favorite top 10 Godzilla film, because I would really like to know. I'm sure a lot of folks out there would too. So hopefully, it's not exactly a challenge, but hopefully you can honor that request in your respective channels. So hopefully we can get that out in the future. But those are my top 10 Godzilla films of all time, my favorite Godzilla films of all time. Alright, this is from Mecha Manila 99. Thank you again for subscribing. Thank you again for all my other subscribers to my channel. I really do appreciate it, and I will get more content out there as soon as possible. But that's pretty much it. So thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on the next figure and movie review. Until then, y'all have a good night. Bye.